This video is going to be outside of QuickBooks, more of an explanation on credits and debits in general. So I made up a couple charts that I think will explain it at a basic level. This first one is pretty simple. Here we have a bank account. I have here also checking. It would work the same if it was savings or if you had multiple checking accounts, but we'll leave it at one for now. It is an asset, so I wrote asset here. Now this arrow in or upward, but it's into the bank, would be money coming in like a deposit. Here is an arrow out, spending money. So money in, you debit your bank. That brings up the balance. I'll show a different chart in a moment. Money leaving the bank. Written on a check to pay a bill. Money coming out. You credit, and that lowers the balance. Now money in, debit, usually it's a credit to income. Now, not everything is like this where you have to worry about it. Much of it is making an invoice, making a bill, following the steps to pay it. But it's good to have an understanding of what's going up from zero and what's going down and why. So, money in, debit. Credit, income. Sometimes it can be an expense. Say you overpaid an expense and you got money back. It's not, maybe not income. It would be crediting the expense you overpaid. You could, or you might, after you debit a bank when money goes in, you might actually credit a liability, meaning you got money and you owe it back somewhere else, and you want to track that liability. If money comes in and you debit the bank and you credit the asset, maybe you had money you had coming to you, and then you would credit the asset, moving it down. The same on the way out. Money out, you'd apply, it would be a credit, and the balance would go down. And then the debit side would be to an expense, which is the most common. You increase your expense when you lose money, or spend money. Sometimes income, liability, or asset, just like the other one. Now my second chart, one moment. My second chart is here. This shows it like this. Income, expense, asset, liability. Now, we'll start with income. And now, as you can see, these are zeros. If your balance at zero, you would go, or anywhere up here, it goes down. So for income, there's a debit and a credit. And this is how a general journal entry will look. You can also see my video on general journal entries. But just to illustrate these basic accounts and what happens to them. When a debit is applied to income, it goes down. Like debiting your income will show you have less income. Crediting goes up. More commonly, credits are applied, or you will credit income. Then the rest are, you'll notice, the same. When the debit goes up from zero, the debit goes up from zero, and the credit goes down. Income is pretty much just the opposite. That's good to remember that. Expense. When you debit your expense, it's going to go up from zero, down from credit. And then as I just generally review this, go ahead and maybe take a note if you are learning QuickBooks or bookkeeping in general. Asset. So, accounts receivable. Money you're intending on receiving is an asset. Sometimes fixed assets, like a piece of equipment or a vehicle. Liability. Payables would be accounts payable. A liability. And I don't mean to repeat myself, but debit makes it go up from zero, credit makes it go down from zero. From wherever it is, it will go that way or that way. So sometimes I like to think of it probably in an improper way, but when I think I have to credit an account, I think of it as a negative number, meaning it's going to lower the balance. It doesn't work that way with income, it's just the opposite. But debit, again, I like to show this chart It can help out when you're trying to do a journal entry or you're making an adjustment on a bill or a check, many places. It's good to know how that is going to affect the balance of that account. Now, I'll show more of this later. But this is a good opportunity to mention when you write a check, enter a bill, which you'll write a check for that later, and you're stating you're going to pay someone, and you make a number, you put a number into an expense, it's naturally a debit. Now, when you create an invoice, now invoices have items in there, I'll get to that as well. But any number on an invoice that is for a product or a service is naturally a credit, because naturally you would want to increase your income when you save an invoice. I will recover this later when I actually enter a bill, write a check for a bill, create invoices. So keep watching and subscribe. Thank you.